This pregame show is presented by America First Credit Union. America First Credit Union has game-changing solutions for every financial need. Join the winning team today at americafirst.com. Welcome and good evening to Zions Bank Stadium as the Real Monarchs get ready for their big match against Rio Grande Valley FC. My name is Carla Swenson-Haslam. Joining here next to me to the color commentary extraordinaire, Tom Hackett, will be joining us today on today's broadcast as the Monarchs get ready for the big game as they're getting for tonight's match. It's brought to you by America First Credit Union. America First is proud to be the official credit union of the Real Monarchs. Whatever you need and what matters most, America First is here to help. Let's get a look at the Toros lineup first as both teams enter out onto the field.
All right, for the RGV Toros, it's a 3-3-4, remarkably. Derek, Nihei, Dispay, Manley, Azakar, Lopez, Yakaza, Fieldberg, Soto, Flores, and Lopez for RGV. And for the Real Monarchs, it'll be a slightly different lineup, a 4-4-1-1, if you will. Dusnap, Adams, Orozco, Salcedo, and Davis, your back line. Johnson, Halsey, Neidiger, and Quintero in the midfield with Mata and Leo up top. We'll go out to a quick timeout. We'll be back with first half action next.
When you're a member at America First Credit Union, there's only one path to happiness, and that's whatever path you choose. So no matter where it may lead you, whatever you need to get there, or how far it may go, we'll do our best to make sure it's clear with the America First Visa credit card, because the only happiness that matters to us is yours, truly.
You are the sunrise waking my day.
I miss you guys.
You are the moonlight shining my way. This is where I call home.
It's never been more true. We take care of Utah like Utahns take care of each other. University of Utah Health.
Rule the playground. Toyota, let's go places.
Tonight's match is brought to you by America First Credit Union. America First is proud to be the official credit union of the Real Monarchs. Whatever you need for what matters most, America First is here to help. And by MarketStar. Explore something more at MarketStar. Visit marketstar.com for careers. And by University of Utah Health, the trusted healthcare provider for the RSL family and yours. Visit uofuhealth.org. And by Zions Bank, for helping banking that helps you tackle every financial challenge, Zions Bank is for you. All right, let's take a look at some of the storylines Tell me, Tom, you know, these are two teams find themselves at the bottom of the table now having to make their way up. Can the Monarchs remain unbeaten the last 5 games? I think that's going to be one of the big stories to look at. And additionally, the Toros themselves on the playoff bubble need to be able to get a win on the road. Now, that being said, it may be a tough challenge in that they haven't won on the road since August 4th, that last game being against the Real Monarchs here at Zions Bank Stadium. Some of the visiting players to watch on this side for the Toros, coming from Rio Grande Valley. Frank Lopez, player with some quick feet, some technical skills, very smart on top of the ball. He's one of the players that the Real Monarchs will have to keep a sharp eye on to stop today. And just like that, we are underway here at Zions Bank Stadium. Welcome to all of those who are joining in on tonight's broadcast. It's quite a night for soccer as RSL themselves find a playing match tonight, and so for the soccer and football fans out there, we welcome those that are joining us on tonight's broadcast. Real Monarchs in dark blue, Rio Grande Valley, the Toros in white, going from right to left on your screen, and the Monarchs already with possession as they're trying to find their way in the midfield. It's been quite a tough season for the Monarchs to get a go, but no doubt looking to see if they can't get a win here at home. And you'll see one of those players to watch for the Real Monarchs, Kyle Adams. Actually played for Rio Grande Valley, was part of their championship team, played in 61 matches for them, and so no doubt recognizes many of the players on this team and recognizes their style of play. Not only that, but scored in the last game. Quite an impressive feat for a center-back defender who finds himself deep into the box. And imagine you love to see those type of players that play in that defensive end, but are able to still be offensive threats on the ball.
Well, I think we're in for quite a night, Carla. We talked about the lineups, and Rio Grande Valley obviously opting for that 3-3-4. Monarchs, we had them down as a 4-4-1-1, but I reckon they're going to play more like that 3-5-2.
Our officials for tonight's game, Brad Jensen on your screen, Matthew Schwartz, Chris Canales, and Jordan Downs, also helping on the sideline here. And you're right, Tom. I think, you know, you see a difference in lineups and what was playing out here, and I imagine that the Monarchs still trying to get a win on this season. Again, it perhaps hasn't been the ideal for them, but nevertheless trying to end strong.
Well, I hope we have goals. At the end of the day, if we can get quite a few goals, that'd be fun for us to be able to be a part of all that. And
it makes our job easier, doesn't it?
It does.
To be able to have some goals, obviously for the fans who are joining in this quite balmy weather. It's the weather broadcast last checked said there was 46 degrees here in Harriman, Utah. And so you're right, for the fans that are braving it out in the cold, you think they as well would like to see some goals from the home side. The Toros already on their heels now as they're moving now towards goal. That's Feldberg with the ball. He's going to play out wide to Jai. Jai trying to get to the end line with a cross, but no one there to receive. On the far end, it's going to bounce around. A cross to come in from Lopez, that key player we had mentioned earlier. The Monarchs collect quickly. Foul will be called against Rio Grande Valley. And Kyle Adams, one of the players that we just highlighted, will be the one to take this sort of set piece. Now, you've been watching the Monarchs all season, Tom, and you've been able to see their style of play, how it's developed. Obviously, there's some injuries on the field as well that affect the game. What are some of the things that, if they want to be successful against the Toros, they're going to have to focus on a little bit more than they have in the past few matches?
Well, it's an interesting question, Carla. It's happened really in a variety of ways, as occasionally they'll build out through the midfield, but I think more often than not, the key for the Real Monarchs this evening is going to be on the flanks as they try and utilize Bodie Davis, who's already had acres of space down here on our near touchline. If they can get him involved, I think they're in for a good night. He's the key. He spent time with Real Salt Lake this season, hasn't seen any minutes at the first team level, but has been a part of some of their trips, some of their away trips.
Perhaps we will see that today. You see on your screen, visiting team coach Wilmer Cabrera, the head coach for the Toros. Again, find themselves on that playoff bubble.
It's a much bigger game for the Toros than it is the Monarchs. Monarchs well eliminated from playoff contention.
Well, and that'll be an interesting discussion too, as Monarchs are going to be giving a foul there against the Toros. But to add on to that, I think that'll be an interesting discussion too, is mentally, you know, if the Monarchs aren't playing for a playoff berth or aren't playing for, you know, some sort of big win or points, if they mentally can stay in this game.
Well, it can go both ways, in my opinion. They can either play better than they normally would because they're playing with a sense of freedom. They really have nothing to lose, essentially. Or they can play as if they've been eliminated, as they already have. Toros on the attack.
Jai out to Sorto. Sorto is going to pull out some fancy footwork. Good defense coming there. And the home coach for the Real Monarchs, Hamisan Olave, my fellow paisano from Colombia, had quite a successful career with Real Salt Lake. Now is the head coach here for the Real Monarchs this season as a corner kick to come in for the Toros. A ball long, ends up sailing over the cross line. Nothing too dangerous there.
Well, while Jeff Dusnup has the ball, he's certainly worthy of a mention. He made the USL Team of the Week following his performance last game. 9 saves, including a penalty kick against Colorado Switch Springbacks. The penalty kick came against Haji Barry, who was vying for the USL Championship all-time record when it comes to goals scored in a season, and Dusnup dove to his right to deny Barry of any goal. Sadly, they drew 1-1 at the death, and the Monarchs settled for a point. But what a performance it was by 17-year-old Jeff Dusnup. No foul called there.
Bringing in quite a bit of experience in the field, regardless of his young age.
Yeah, no, he plays just miles above his age. It's quite phenomenal.
We're starting to see the Toros as they're moving their way up the field. It'll go back out wide to Jai. He'll play into Sorto. Sorto's going to be looking to play it back across the line, see if they can't switch the field. On the far side, the Toros are going to try to move it up the field, but it'll come off of the Monarch defensive line. That'll be a Toros throw-in. And Rio Grande Valley trying to possess in the midfield as the ball seems to bounce around. Ultimately, Monarchs come out on top. They'll move it across their back line. They'll find Adams at center back position, but he seems to drift a little bit more. He has the green light to take up some space. RGV now back with the ball on top of the box. A shot going to be ripped from Lopez. Another player that finds himself drifting more towards the midfield.
Certainly worthy of a pop. See if he can test Jeff Dusnup in goal. It's a miscommunication, however, from the Monarchs' standpoint. Nadiga trying to play Leo Torres, but they weren't on the same page. Silly turnover, and that's hurt the Monarchs this season. Just poor communication, lack of effort, if you will. Dangerous high foot, then challenge from Bodie, but the referee lets it go. And they need to be able to communicate this evening if there's any hope. Communication is at the utmost importance for the Real Monarchs. Good composure there from Jeff Dusnup, and Monarchs settle. Play it down.
Adams will play it back out, but center official is going to call it for that play as a...
I was surprised that the referee didn't make it. That was somewhat dangerous, but good to see. And then that challenge there has me questioning whether or not that was legal, I have to admit. That's a dangerous tackle by Bodie Davis, and Wilmer Cabrera not happy. Hammerson Alave trying to fight for his player. Number 19, Bodie Davis, but my word, yeah, studs were showing right into the shin. Hopefully it clipped the shin guard and not skin, but it's incredibly dangerous.
Well, and you can see there was quite a bit of a delay, too, in the call.
I don't think we have VAR at this level.
No, that is for certain.
I have to imagine if this was a Major League Soccer game that maybe, just maybe, VAR would come into play.
Well, definitely, and be looking at that play, because at first glance it appears as if Bodie is getting the ball directly, but you're right, we see it on the replay. That's Dispay on your screen. He's the player that came off. Center official says play on, and so the Monarchs are opting to play out of their back line. They're going to move up the field. try to get some sort of possession, and it just about works. And the Toros go for the throw in. Again, the ball kind of bouncing around as both teams really starting to feel each other out in this midfield. Neither team's shown to really have control or possession in that midfield, as the ball is going to be played by Yukasa. He's going to opt to go out wide to the far side of the pitch.
Yeah, this turf is bouncy. It can sometimes be an issue when players are trying to control the football, especially. I think you need to keep the ball on the deck when you play at Zions Bank Stadium if you're going to try and control the speed, tempo, and pace of the football. Because anytime it starts to bounce, it just becomes incredibly difficult to try and control. And more often than not, that's where you see the turnovers occur.
Quick set piece, be taken by Jai. He's going to play it out wide to Ikasa, and Ikasa opts to go all the way back to their back line. As the Toros are moving across, transitioning from one side to the next, Jai to receive it again. I feel like that's a name we've called often.
Right.
Receives the ball, very active inside of the field. A potential foul, but the ref says play on as a strong tackle. Coming in, and a shot is going to be ripped by Sorto. Sorto, I think, had the ball bouncing around and goes for the volley.
Yeah, another interesting no call there from our head referees. Letting them play, which I don't hate. Certainly some of those challenges were probably worthy of a foul call.
On November 3rd, RSL will be honoring club legend Kyle Beckerman. Tickets to see Captain Kyle are as low as $15. Visit rsl.com and secure your seats now.
What a player he was.
Yeah, the word legend is being thrown out there, and that's not a word that is used lightly, especially at RSL, where there have been so many heralded players to touch the field. Perhaps some of those future legends are out here tonight, playing at the Zions Bank Stadium, as the Monarchs looking to play across their back line again.
I think the player that just had the ball in the red boots, maybe it'll be one of them. Haziel Orozco, 16 years of age, has already traveled. Spent time with the Mexican national team. He'll do so with the US men's national team, and he is a force to be reckoned with, despite his undersized frame.
Osokar is going to play it out wide, across from the Toros. Doesn't make it to the prescribed player Feldberg, who's just been lurking inside of that box. Monarchs with good defense. They're going to receive it on the far side.
The Monarchs have run into that issue a fair bit. It's certainly been the Toros who have been peppering the goal of Jeff Dusnup. And then when the ball is turned over, there just isn't enough numbers for the Monarchs to really be able to threat on the counter. And so I don't know how that is fixed. Certainly something Hamilton Olave must be thinking about at the minute. They're defending with everything they have. When they maintain the football, they just don't quite have enough bodies up there. Bodie Davis retrieving a wayward pass from Brett Halsey. I think this is probably the best way to go about it. It's just to try and get some composure, find the football, knock it around a bit, and see if you can build yourself out from the back. Mistake there. Ball goes out for a throw-in for the Toros.
And you're right, Toros starting to inch their way up the field with this throw-in here. They're going to move towards the center of the pitch to Lopez.
Just look at how many numbers the Monarchs have back at the minute. Toros, given everything they have, throwing numbers forward, and Monarchs essentially forced to play 8 players behind the football in an attempt to try to slow the Toros down. But they've been good as of late as Salcedo kicks the ball for another throw-in.
And Salcedo's been busy on that far side. A majority of his plays just trying to keep the player contained to force it out of bounds. Toros on the attack once more. It's going to be played out. A good defense stab will lead it to Monarchs ball. Monarchs now on the attack, trying to find Max Mata on that top side.
Max Mata, the sort of striker for what it's worth, requires service. Has an okay touch, can finish, but his best asset is certainly heading the football, getting the ball down the flank, whipping it in to the big New Zealander and see if he can find his forehead on the end of it. Another big switch here from the Torres. They are stretching the Monarchs.
And just about with that first touch coming from Sorto there, it's going to be played on top by Feldberg, who got one first touch around his defender, tried to get to the end line, and with that left foot went for the cross, unable to get it there. It all comes down to the final day of the regular season. Watch the drama unfold all evening long on ESPN Plus as the race for the USL Championship playoffs comes to an end. Action begins Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus. You know, and we had mentioned earlier that the Toros are finding themselves all in that bubble for the USL playoff.
Right.
And you can see the urgency opting to put 4 forwards up top. I mean, they are going towards goal.
I don't know if I've ever really seen a 3-3-4 formation. But look, it makes sense. You're playing the Monarchs, who haven't been good this season, home or away. And you're in need of 3 points. And so you're basically saying that we're going to trust our 3 defenders and our 3 midfielders to hold down the fort and let 4 attacking players go up against the Monarchs' back line. It's working so far.
Jai to Sorto to Flores. Flores is going to try to find Feldberg inside the middle. Sorto finds themselves a 1v1, gets a shot into the back of the net. There was a question of whether it was an offsides for this goal, but nothing is called, and you can tell Dusnap not happy about not getting the no call.
Well, look, I don't have my pro referee book in front of me, but the FAR AR raised his flag and then dropped his flag, I assume because our head referee told him to.
Let's see another look here. As you see, Casa with the fancy footwork plays it in. It gets bounced around off of the Monarch defense, and Sorto just open 1v1 with inside that goal.
Well, the Monarch players irate with the decision, running over to the FAR AR. I have to assume that because it deflected off, you could see the FAR AR there. He raises his flag and then puts it right down. Sorto, good finish, by the way. Back post, tucks it away. I have to assume because there was such a deflection that occurred off Brett Halsey that the play was continued. But my word, some controversy early here at Zions Bank Stadium. 1-0 Toros.
Sorto with the 16-minute to lead ahead now. And the Monarchs find themselves with quite a hill to climb now that they're down 1-0. Against a controversial goal, Sorto offsides, but you're right, coming off a deflection, and perhaps that went into the officials' analysis as the Monarchs now on top of the ball, trying to find some of their forward attacking players up top.
Well, it's just been far too easy for the Toros defensively. As soon as they pick the ball back, they are looking upfield, and they're forcing the Monarchs to defend. They're forcing the Monarch players to run back, get into their defensive shape, and the Monarchs in no real hurry to press the Toros. I have to imagine that'll change over the course of this game, but as it stands right now, the Toros are just controlling the entire tempo of this one.
Well, and they're going to play it back to Tyler Derrick, and from there, a long ball is going to be sent to the Toros, and they can cover quite a bit of ground. Tyler Derrick, the goalkeeper, wearing the red kit for the Toros, a name we haven't called very often, simply because it's been quite a quiet night for him. He's received the ball once off of a pass, and they're going to be opting to send it long, and just like that, the Toros now deep in the Monarchs box. Monarchs trying to recover. RGV trying to get something in with back to goal, unable to do so. The Monarchs are going to clear it out, but Jai on this near left side, his touch betrays him a bit as it goes out of bounds. It'll be a Monarchs throw.
Yeah, and you can see just Toros, how aggressive they are with the press. As soon as a Monarch player has it in their own part of the field, they are hunting that football. They want it back, and they want it back fast. Unlike what's going on the other end of the pitch, anytime the Monarchs turn the ball over, there is no press that ensues. It's interesting.
Well, and you can see that whenever the Toros in their defensive end, there just doesn't seem to be a lot of Monarch presence. It's usually just one or two players, either Mata or Quintero, but it's a 2v4 situation, and we'll see that now as the Toros are playing out of their back line.
But again, there's no real hesitancy, urgency, I should say, from the Monarchs. They're just kind of allowing RGV to have the football as...
Quintero's going to try to find Mata, who's running onto the 18-yard box. Now Jai's going to recover, receive the ball, and bring it out, excuse me.
That's a great example of how the ball bounces. No foul called again, my word.
And that's, yes, potential controversial call there. As the Monarchs got pushed in behind, and just like that in transition, demonstrating how crazy this sport can be as it goes from one end to the other.
Well, for what it's worth, Mutt is a big fella. He's no...
It's not easy to push down, is what you're saying.
No, it's not all that easy. No, and it looked like he got clipped back of the hills, but no call again. I'd rather a referee put his whistle away as opposed to blow it 1,000 times an hour. So I shouldn't complain too much, but there have been a few challenges on both sides, for what it's worth, that haven't been called, which I found interesting.
This Pez, the one to give the foul. On your screen now, Flores, as they'll be taking the third corner kick of the night for the Toros. Torres lining up. We'll do a short pass to Icasa. Icasa to play it out back to Azucar.
All right, here we go.
And the Monarchs now in the attack, able to win the ball in transition. Going to look across that end line. Some fancy footwork doesn't work out there. And a foul ends up being called against the Monarchs on Bodie Davis. Bodie Davis, one of those defensive players that acts like a forward in the sense that he's encouraged to get up into the sides, and you'll see it here.
He made contact with the football, but certainly a foul. He dragged his opposing player down at the same time, so good call from the referee there.
A long ball is going to be sent by RGV. Dusnup picks it up pretty easily. He's going to opt to play out of his back line.
Great ball from Adams. Heavy touch again. That's the second through pass that Quintero has attempted. She's gotten away from him. That was about the best build-up we've seen from the back. Adams found Quintero, split the defensive shape of RGV. And all of a sudden, Malik Johnson, a member we haven't talked a ton about, but very important, much like Bodie Davis on this near flank, Malik Johnson is a speedster and can certainly be the instigator to get the Monarchs back into this.
Well, and it only takes one. Again, we mentioned earlier how crazy of a sport this is, and there are definitely games where one team seems to be dominating in the possession and in the attack, and all it takes is one counter for the other team to come back and tie it up. Monarchs hopefully looking to get that. Not seeing any sort of offensive pressure now as it's going to be used on the back line. Played by Flores. It'll go out to Jai. Flores, a player that's been running from one side of the field to the other. You'll remember he just took the corner kick a minute ago and is now back playing as a defender. Started as a forward. You're going to be looking to play in that midfield line. Adams reads it, is going to play it towards the midfield. Still deep in the Monarchs' half. Saucedo's going to try to play out wide, unable to do so. Toros with the ball. Sorto to receive it. Again, an errant pass leads the Monarchs to receive the ball one more time. Quintero's going to try to play it out long to Davis. Davis, can he get the cross inside? No, the Toros are going to read it. And some more physical play coming out. Sorto's going to receive it. In his half, he'll play out of bounds. And you could feel some of the buildup coming there.
Yeah, no.
Perhaps they're listening to your broadcast and providing a bit more of that pressure. And you'll see it there.
There's Neidiger. That's nice. He got two hands down and somersault to save himself. Very nicely done. Maybe he was a gymnast.
Well, and you can definitely see just a little bit more pressure, a little bit more energy. Sometimes that is the signal to his teammates that this team is coming out to come with the comeback goal. Ball is going to be played off of Jai. 30 yards from Toros box. Monarchs looking to play back. Orozco checking his options as he approaches the halfway stripe. He's going to play up to his line. Midfield going to bobble it just a bit as it goes out of bounds. Monarchs still trying to find some possession in this game as Torres gets the ball. Torres with a cheeky little back heel. He's going to find Davis. Can he get the cross? A cross comes across. Toros, excuse me. Read it well. Ends up being cleared out. But the Monarchs starting to add a bit more pressure than what we saw in the first 15 minutes of this game.
And the Toros have changed their shape. So I feel like I've talked ad nauseum how they started with 3-3-4. They've gone now to more of a 3-4-2 sort of look. 3-4-3, 3-5-2, whatever you want to call it.
Ball building On top, Max Mata found himself with a 1v1 situation. His touch was a little too far.
A good build up there from the Monarchs. But either way, the shape of the team for the Toros has changed, as we mentioned, and they're more comfortable now with the Monarchs kind of attaining more of the football, more of the possession higher up the pitch. They're basically asking them, look, if you're going to beat us, we're 1-0 up, you're going to have to find a way to score. And it's something the Monarchs have had a hard time doing this year, so all pressure is on the Monarchs to equalize.
Rio Grande seeming to absorb some of that pressure. Some good touch and good plays being played by Halsey. Halsey's going to play it up for a long shot by the Monarchs. Nothing too dangerous that was there, as Quintero is able to get a touch, sees a bit of a window. A bit far, but when you haven't been getting shots, sometimes that's what you need to get the team going.
Yeah, I think you have to start peppering Tyler Derrick in goal. And on that occasion, I didn't mind the decision from Quintero to take a pop from some 30-odd yards out. It looked good off the shoe before it started to rise, and rise it did.
Rio Grande Valley on the attack already. It's been quite a game of counters as both teams have gotten their opportunities and transition in the field quickly. Monarchs with the ball at the center circle. Davis, an errant pass gets intercepted by Sorto. The Monarchs read it well and in their back line. Adams now playing in that center back position. He's going to look up, see his options. He'll find Davis. Davis to Mata. And the ball starts to bounce around just a bit. It seems the Monarchs having difficulty with that final touch. Davis tries to pull out the scissor.
Oh, here we go. Neidiger, he's been all over the park. He was the one that somersaulted earlier. He's been throwing himself around. He's not afraid. He's a young player. He hasn't had a ton of playing time. He's trying to assert some authority there. He wasn't all that thrilled with how the RGV player left his leg on him, it looked like. And my word, he stood over him. Barked instructions, much to the displeasure of...
Neidiger tries to get it here. He feels he's taken out unjustly in the box.
Oh, that's Dispay, and there you go.
Gives him a slight knee afterwards as he's getting up. Again, wanting that call, feeling that he should have that inside the box. Remember, Dispay is a player that was involved in the earlier confrontation as well.
Well, there's a bit of intensity now all of a sudden to this one. RGV go up a goal early and different shape, and the Monarchs are starting to play themselves into this fixture.
Can't watch the match? Turn on Sirius XM FC 157 North, America's only 24/7 source of soccer radio, featuring Ray Hudson, Tony Miola, Rodney Marsh, and USL All Access with Mike Watts and Devin Kerr every Tuesday night at 7 Eastern. You can also hear live action from the USL, MLS, Premier League, and more, all on Sirius XM FC 157 and the SXM app. Lots of soccer being played here as Tyler Derrick is going to send the ball long. Toto's now again in Monarchs, defensive third. Johnson sends it out wide to Torres, who are going to take another throw-in. It has been quite the game of throw-ins as both teams, again, I think having a hard time really possessing and establishing a flow. RGV right now, perhaps on top of that possession number.
Jeez, I wonder if we can get a replay of that throw-in on the far side. I couldn't quite see who it was, but he threw it right into his teammate's face. Something you don't see often. We call that a falcon in Australia. It was falconed. It's awfully unkind.
And again, trying to play it long. Toto's playing a bit more direct than they were in the first few minutes of the match.
Neidiger just has nothing available. He finds Davis, but back to Neidiger it goes, and maybe some space opens up in the midfield. Well done from Leo Torres, and a foul was called.
The call against Manly. And you're right, Torres is the one trying to get the turn there. As you can see, he receives it with the outside of his foot. Trying to get a turn, open up some space in the midfield for himself, see if he can't find the feet of his forwards. Adams to take the quick set piece. He's going to play it short to Torres. Holds on to the ball. Going to try to play it out wide.
Well, it looked like that's where he was trying to go. It just Malik Johnson wasn't on the same page. He didn't even realize the ball was going to be played out there. Malik Johnson hasn't had much of an impact in this game. He's somebody that I am sure will want to be more involved as ball slips out of the hands of the RGV Toros player. Back in the midfield, the Monarchs have it. Naidigay's been on the football a lot as of late.
Well, it seems like in the last 10 minutes, very much woken up. And the Monarchs starting to feel themselves a little bit more in the sense that they're starting to find their players as Naidigay's going to try to chip one to Mata. Again, don't seem to be on the same page here. It jumps a little on the turf.
Yeah, it's so difficult here at Zions Bank Stadium to play those long, over-the-top through balls. If the ball bounces on this turf, it skips right away from you. So you have to play an inch-perfect pass, essentially. And I didn't hate the idea, but boy, the execution is so hard. But again, Naidigay found himself on the football. It's interesting. So you got Naidigay and Halsey kind of playing as two defensive-minded midfielders. Leo Torres and Quintero playing as a more attacking threat. The counter's on here for the Toros.
Now the Toros going to play it out wide to Sorto. Sorto with the goal in the first half. Now finds himself coming in. He tries to hit it with the right side of his foot. Wide of goal, but another dangerous look for Rio Grande Valley. And Sorto found himself with quite a lot of space on that far side.
I didn't quite understand the decision. It was kind of a half shot, half cross in the end, but boy, he did a good job to find as much room as he did. First touch was fine, which is normally the kryptonite in this. And it's such an awkward little cross trying to find Feldberg. I reckon he was better off trying to open up his foot and find that back corner like he did earlier in the half.
Well, and it was so similar to the angle too that he had in the 16th minute. With the go-ahead goal, you're right, perhaps trying to find Feldberg, but that would be a tough ball to get on with the sort of speed that I had on it. Now, Rio Grande Valley back with the ball in their defensive end. Content just to play with it. They seem to have a bit more time in trying to find their midfield, and perhaps to what you were saying earlier about playing on the turf, Rio Grande Valley has been looking far more to play to feet and has found far more success doing so as they possess in their midfield. Lopez with the ball out to Jai.
Nice combination.
They're gonna play it up top. Feldberg on top, tries to get across. A paw by Dunesup, excuse me. Able to keep that one in play, but again, another dangerous look as it's just bouncing around in the box. Fortunately for the Monarchs, there's nobody in there to get to that.
Yeah, really dangerous ball there by Feldberg. Terrific save. Probably didn't need to put the palm out, did Jeff Dunesup. It was probably trickling away for a goal kick, but better to be safe than sorry, Mum always used to say. So nice save in the end, and South Soda with the clearance.
Toto's now deep into the corner. Feldberg is going to take 1v1. He gets deep to the end line, plays to the 6. No one is there. You got to wonder, after doing all that work, upset, wondering where my teammates are. Goes back to the Totos at the halfway stripe. And they'll play Lopez with the ball. He's going to try to find a direct ball. Flores is unable to do so. It'll go across the end line. Quick restart by Dunesup. Looking to play out of that back line. Monarchs moving towards the center of the pitch. Torres. Torres again to play it out wide. And across from one side of the field to the other on this near side. Davis with the ball, 1v1. Great defensive tackle there by Jai. Davis now trying to recover. Takes out Jai in the process. And that'll be a free kick.
Oh, that'll be
a yellow card.
Yeah, first yellow card of the match. Bodie Davis, I mean...
It's tough because there were a lot more dangerous plays that have happened in this match.
Well, I think that's a result of potentially that foul we saw early in the contest where his studs were showing. And this is just a professional foul, or at least that's what the experts call it. And it is, just trying to slow RGV down on the counter-attack. But a yellow card, look, I think if he hadn't have made that opening challenge, it probably wouldn't have been a yellow card. But he did. Referee didn't call anything. Bodie Davis on a yellow now with quite a bit of time still to be played.
Rio Grande Valley is going to try to play along. Monarchs are able to defend well. Neidegger. Going to get the ball to Torres. Torres. Play it out wide to Saucedo. Saucedo to receive it on the give and go. He tries to turn on it. Loses it. Monarchs continue with the ball. And that midfield is really where the play is happening between both teams. Play starts to get up. Torres with a bad touch to Sorto. Slowing things down now.
Certainly.
And we're starting to see that ebb and flow of the game as Torres again on the attack. A 3v3 situation. A good touch coming in there to try to disrupt the play. Sorto now on the near side of the field. 20 yards from the 18-yard box. He's going to try to find the center of the pitch. Rio Grande Valley opts to switch from one side of the field to the other. Another style of play that we're seeing a lot from this Rio Grande Valley team is if it doesn't work on one side, they're happy to move it to the other. They seem to have a lot more patience in determining when to attack and when to recycle.
Yeah, well, they have that luxury. Now that they're up 1-0, they don't need to force anything, and it's certainly become rather apparent that this near side's where a lot of the success is coming from. Sorto in particular, finding a ton of room. He kind of bounces inside and then he'll float back outside, and he's confusing the Monarchs defensively by doing so, and he's finding a ton of success on the near side.
Long ball, going to be sent again. Orozco to receive it. He'll play Adams on top of the moon. Adams to carry it up to Neidiger. Neidiger's touch gets away from him. There seems to be some tackling, some soccer going on between Torres and Jai. Ultimately, Neidiger finds himself again involved in the play. No call is made, and so it'll be a Torres throw-in.
I think they may have called Carla a free kick, Dan. It was such a not needed. It was 2v1.
You're right. We're seeing it here, and the call was made for the foul. My apologies.
And Jai was in a world of pain. He had nowhere to go. He had two Monarch players on his heels, and just a silly foul, one that really frustrates you as a Monarchs fan.
It'll be a Monarchs throw-in. The 2021 season comes to a conclusion when the USL Championship Final takes center stage. Watch as a new champion is crowned Sunday, November 28th on ESPN and ESPN Deportes, or listen on Sirius XM-FC Channel 157. The Monarchs, with a bit of an attacking urge there, unable to be successful. Nevertheless, again, starting to show a bit more energy than they did in the beginning.
Terrific dribbling by Leo Torres, who found himself with space down the right-hand side. Another lovely touch from Quintero, my word.
Neidiger with the turn. He's going to approach the top of the moon. Find Davis out wide. Davis with a one-type cross. Hits off of Jai. Torres again in transition, crossing that halfway stripe. Find themselves in a 3v4 situation. They're going to go out wide to Feldberg. Feldberg on top of the box, moves on top of the 6 with a shot off the crossbar. Ooh, and what a dangerous look coming from Rio Grande Valley as Feldberg with one touch is able to open up an open shot window.
It's a terrific counter-attack. It was 3v3 in the end. Take another look at the replay. It's Feldberg cut in behind both Orozco and Adams, who run into each other in the end. Nothing Dusnup could do about it, and if it wasn't for the woodwork, it would be 2-0. Interesting, however, I was watching Brett Halsey, who was trying to chase down. I can't remember who was the RGV player in the end, but nonetheless, we're only 39 minutes into this, and he was out of steam. So that Monarch midfield working incredibly hard early on here. You see Neidiger puffing away, Halsey out of steam, out of gas, and something to be careful of. If you are Hamilton Alave, maybe a few substitutions have to be made earlier than anticipated, because that midfield is blowing.
Who would you imagine to be one of those substitutes to come in? Because you're right, Monarchs starting to get a bit gassed on that back line.
Well, I think Ibrahim Bantse, somebody you look to. Sam Brown, another workhorse for the Monarchs. Look, they don't need to start pressing necessarily and becoming overly aggressive in trying to get the equalizer. There's still a ton of football left, and both Sam Brown and Ibrahim Bantse are two defensive-minded workhorses in the midfield. They're also reasonably experienced. They've done this a lot. So I wouldn't be surprised if at some point one of those two, if not both, makes an appearance off the bench for Hamilton Alave and the Monarchs.
And that will definitely be the question here, is managing energy levels as the Monarchs now on the attack. And it seems like every time the Monarchs get going, they're unable to finish that final touch or that final pass to really make any sort of dangerous looks. As that was Johnson on that back line, who was trying to bring some sort of creativity, and 1v1 flair there is unsuccessful. Rio Grande Valley tries to send a long one to Feldberg. Ultimately, it's easily gobbled up by Doonsup. Neidiger now with the ball, crosses the halfway line.
Bodie Davis, who's normally pretty aggressive as a wing back, really wasn't anywhere to be seen. The ball had to be played, and then Neidiger got a telling off by Hamilton Alave. Nice ball in there, Leo Torres.
Perhaps it's coming as Torres. Now, is it finding the back of the net as it jumps right off of the Torres back? Torres with that goal will be given as he's 1v1. Some luck on his side, but nevertheless, he put in the work to make that run, get in the way.
My word. Bit of luck, celebration. The 84 Martinez jersey. Bit of luck, certainly so, Carla.
I mean, it never hurts to be lucky, and we see that now.
Gracious.
A good goal coming from the Monarchs. Again, Torres probably won't score another goal like that for a long time, but you'll take another look here in the replay, and perhaps we can break down what happened, because it happened quite quickly.
Well, it was a lovely ball in the end by Brett Halsey. Just like I said earlier, it kind of skips off the pitch.
Comes off of Dispay.
Dispay it was.
Just bad luck.
Derek tried to clear. He didn't quite know to grab it with two hands. He ended up going with a clearing foot, but boy, it ricocheted off Dispay. Nothing he could do about it either. Yeah, a bit of luck, certainly, but you do feel like Monarchs have started to slowly but surely play themselves into this one.
Well, and part of that goal did come from Torres' pressure. Without his pressure, Derek would not have felt the need to try to clear, and obviously Dispay would not have been there. Now we're on the far side of the pitch. As the corner kick, short corner is going to be taken. Torres on top of the box with a shot by Feldberg. Doesn't make it to a goal. Monarchs are able to clear it out wide. And perhaps that was the spark that the Monarchs needed, as we see a bit more energy. Torres with the cross. Unable to connect with their teammate. Flores on top of the box. He's going to play it out wide. Another shot and save by Doonsup. And he's been quite busy this game. One of the big saves that he's had already.
He's been busy all year, has young Jeff Doosnup. He ended up saving that one with what looked like his knee. But a nice diving save down low. There you go, with his shin to knock that one clear for another corner kick.
Made himself as big as possible, as it's another Rio Grande corner kick. A header coming off, but nothing. From Dispay, but nothing on it. As Doonsup clears and lets it go. And that'll be a goal kick for the Monarchs as we approach the last few minutes of this first half. It's been a half where Rio Grande seems to have a majority of the attack and a majority of the possession, but every now and then the Monarchs have come with an attacking look, and obviously a goal coming from Torres just 1 minute ago. For those that are joining us on today's broadcast, Rio Grande scored in the 16th minute to find themselves up 1-0, and just 1 minute ago the Monarchs with the equalizer. Foul, will be called against Rio Grande. Nothing too dangerous, but nonetheless, these set-piece opportunities are chances for the team to get deep into Rio Grande Valley's half. Quintero on the ball.
On the tall timber flying forward for the Monarchs. Quintero, as you mentioned, Carla, standing over there. Salcedo, Adams, two of the biggest players on the team. Mata's up there as well. Good delivery. Pretty high line from RGV. Orozco and Soto kind of going hammering tongue with one another. Referee taking a good look at it.
And perhaps as Soto's knowing that it bounces on the turf, as Quintero is going to send a long ball. He's going to find Mata, who is able to get his head on it. Nothing too dangerous as Derek is able to catch it. But still a good look in that, playing so high up, being able to get a head on it.
Yeah, Mata with the header in the end. So Soto and Haziel Orozco were still tied up, despite Derek having possession of the football. They both took a bit of a spill trying to get back to their respective positions.
Mata with 1 goal this season. You know, he's eyeing to get his second. As Grand Valley now on the attack. Shot! Goes out wide. Shot coming from Lopez, player that we highlighted earlier in the game as being quite a sneaky player, and you can see it. A few of the shots that he's had this game have come with ample space, something that you often don't see at this level of soccer. Short corner kick will be taken by Rio Grande. Another cross to come in. It'll be deflected off Torres, who goes to ground. Ref says play on. Another shot gonna be left by Azócar. And Dunsub actually having to make the save there. We'll take another look at what happened here.
There will be 1 minute of stoppage time, 1 minute.
As Azócar with his right foot goes towards the near post. Stoppage time is brought to you by America First Credit Union. America First Credit Union has the financial products and services you need to take care of yourself, your family, and your business. The Toros now with the cross, going to try to send it, see if they can't get a second before the half. Adams to clear it out, but not before Rio Grande receives it. Their defensive line playing high as they're going to pressure to try to go to goal one more time in these last couple of minutes of extra time that have been added. And you can see the pressure now on your screen as the defensive line moving across. They're going to play out to Jai. Jai to recycle. Play out wide to Feldberg. Feldberg, not much to go, so he opts to take the 1v1 Davis. On the good defensive play, it'll ricochet off of him for another Torres corner kick. I feel like we've been calling that all day. They've been getting quite a few corners. Now the Monarchs have been absorbing it pretty well.
I think every corner kick bar one has been a short corner kick. We'll see if they... Yeah, just another short corner kick.
And a shot is going to come off. Again, nothing too dangerous. But you're right. Part of the thinking may be play that short, see if they can get a cross in, and that'll be the first half for this team. 1-1 Real Monarchs at first of this game looked like they were having quite a hard time setting up the attack. But since then, we're able to get the equalizer. First goal coming by Rio Grande, and the second by the Real Monarchs for the equalizer in this half. We'll take a break now, and we'll return for some halftime highlights, discuss some of the game, and what both teams need to do if they want to come out with 3 points in this match.
You are the sunrise waking my day.
I miss you guys.
You are the moonlight shining my way. This is where I call home.
It's never been more true. We take care of Utah like Utahns take care of each other. University of Utah Health.
When you're a member of America First Credit Union, the only dream that matters to us is the one that matters to you. So whatever you need to reach your goals, we'll be right there beside you to help you grow your business and bring your vision to life. Because the only dream that matters to us is yours, truly.
Rule the playground. Toyota, let's go places.
The best line of defense against the virus is getting the vaccine.
Take your shot.
Tomar la vacuna.
Let's get back in the game.
Volvamos al juego.
Get vaccinated.
Vacúnate.
For yourself.
For your teammates.
Por tu compañero de equipo.
For your family.
And for the community. For information on getting vaccinated, visit coronavirus.utah.gov.
I think that only when we personally connect with a place
do we truly gain the power to protect it?
There's a story behind the sceneries. There's a story behind the place, and there's a story coming from the original people that live here.
These places are special. There's something different about them. We have to keep them that way.
Let it take hold of you, and let it have some say on how you operate in the world.
Atlas Disposal is dedicated to preserving the spaces we share.
We also understand the importance of sustaining our resources.
We're proud to bring our operations to Utah with technologies like zero-emission vehicles and a new recycling system coming to Rio Tinto Stadium starting in 2020.
Together, we can keep Utah beautiful and sustainable for generations to come.
Today, as you step onto the field, you step into your purpose. You step strong. You step hard. Con toda la fuerza de mujer. You step up.
Roll it down. I am. You don't need a car to listen to Sirius XM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on Sirius XM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?
I am a first-generation student here at Bellevue University. I feel like if I were to have gone to a different university, my experience would have been a lot more stressful and overwhelming, because I feel like I wouldn't have gotten that personal experience that Bellevue University has to offer.
As you step onto the field, you step into your purpose. You step strong. You step hard. Con toda la fuerza de mujer. You step up.
Tonight's halftime show is presented by America First Credit Union. America First is proud to be the official credit union of the Real Monarchs. Whatever you need for what matters most, America First is here to help. By MarketStar. Explore something more at MarketStar. Visit marketstar.com for careers. And by Les Olson and Sharp. Dominate the pitch with an agile workflow. Equip your Sharp office with brilliant professional monitors, cutting-edge collaboration boards, and state-of-the-art multi-function copiers with Alexa-enabled voice commands. Sharp and the Les Olson Company, official office technology partners of the Real Monarchs. Welcome back here at Zions Bank Stadium. Thanks to all those that are joining in on today's broadcast. It has been quite the match between Rio Grande Valley and the Real Monarchs. Rio Grande Valley found themselves up quickly in the 16th minute of the match, 1-0. But at the very end, Torres from the Real Monarchs able to make some of those big plays. Speaking of those big plays, let's take a look at this week's USL Player of the Week. Cameron Lancaster, playing from Louisville City. You see it now as this week's Player of the Week. Week 27, and it has been quite the USL season. Real Monarchs unable to get some of the points that they have wanted. But that being said, leads us to our next Team of the Week from the USL. Also coming from Louisville. Let's look at some of the team notes and USL news from the past couple of days. Oakland still staying alive with a game-winning goal. Now find themselves 1 point behind LA for that fourth place spot. Another big game, Orange County capitalizing at the end with a Damas, you can see it on your screen, restored. Orange County in the 95th minute. So we have quite a few last-minute games coming from these teams. And then finally, some of the big news coming out of the USL. The Locomotives are able to close it out. El Paso able to get 4-0. They made club history with an undefeated at home. Quite a season for El Paso. Let's take a look at some of the other scores that are going on around the league in the USL. Some other big games are coming off as teams are trying to clinch playoff berths. You'll see Hartford beating Charleston 2-0. Charlotte against Loudoun 1-0, some close games. Miami FC with the fall against Pittsburgh, who was able to get 1 goal. And then Memphis and FC Tulsa. Memphis coming away 3-2 towards the end of the game. And so those are our scores and news from around the league. We're going to cut to a break. And when we return to talk more Real Monarchs, first Rio Grande Valley.
Rule the playground. Toyota, let's go places.
You are the sunrise waking my day.
I miss you guys.
You are the moonlight shining my way. This is where I call home.
It's never been more true. We take care of Utah like Utahns take care of each other. University of Utah Health.
Atlas Disposal is dedicated to preserving the spaces we share.
We also understand the importance of sustaining our resources.
We're proud to bring our operations to Utah with technologies like zero-emission vehicles and a new recycling system coming to Rio Tinto Stadium starting in 2020.
Together, we can keep Utah beautiful and sustainable for generations to come.
Welcome back to Zions Bank Stadium as Real Monarchs find themselves tied 1-1. And it's been kind of an interesting game. The Monarchs started off very slow, felt like Rio Grande Valley was having the majority of the attack and the possession. But then as the game progressed, it felt like the Monarchs got their feet underneath them.
Right, so Rio Grande Valley starting that 3-3-4, very aggressive formation, got the early goal, and then they kind of sat back and started to allow the Monarchs into the contest, and the Monarchs were able to equalize, albeit with a very, very fortunate deflection. But needless to say, the score is 1-1. Lot to play for here in the second half, and it's awfully difficult to try and figure out who has the momentum. I think still, despite the Monarchs getting that late goal, I think RGV have been deserving of more so far.
Well, let's take a look at some of the highlights from today's game, including that lucky goal that you had mentioned, Tom. In the 16th minute, the Toros able to get that goal. They've had some sharp plays coming in before then, as we had mentioned. Had a majority of the possession, but the Monarchs slowly starting to come back. We saw a few shots coming from the Toros' sides, and shots coming from all over the field for them.
And this was the goal. No, it wasn't. Sorry, that was Soto's first shot. I reckon the goal will be coming shortly thereafter.
When it came so quickly. This is the goal here. Icasa playing to Fieldberg. Comes off of the defense, and there's a question about whether Sorto was offsides on this call, but he's able to coolly put it away into that far side. You'll get another look at it here.
Yeah, ball just bounced off Brett Halsey into the feet of Sorto, and the rest is history. Lovely finish there. This was really the first attempt for the Monarchs. Quintero taking a pop from distance, but it rose on him. And then this challenge here, it got feisty, as Neidiger was not appreciative to Des Pye, I do believe. Yes.
Gave him a bit of the knee on there.
Yeah, I wasn't all that thrilled with that, was he, Nadiga?
We continue to see a lot of physical play. Here's some more building coming from the side. And Sorto just seems to be wide open on that left side. He's really had his way with the Monarch defensive line.
Yeah, he's been the most dangerous, for me anyway, for the Toros down the left flank. Felberg forcing a big save there. This was a big opportunity as Felberg beats two defenders, ricochets off the woodwork, and the Monarchs survive. This was the goal, Brett Halsey. Lovely ball in the end, just a hair out in front of Leo Torres, and the most unfortunate of deflections does Pai. He's been very active in this first half.
And you can see it there as it comes right off display. And you're right, just some bad luck, but perhaps it's better to be lucky than good sometimes.
You'd think Tyler Derrick, the goalkeeper for the Toros, probably needed to do a bit more with that. It almost looked like his clearance came off his shin. But needless to say, it's 1-1 at the half.
Well, and the fans seem to be enjoying themselves. They're celebrating Halloween here at Zions Bank Stadium. As you can see, some of the fans coming out in their warm weather as it's starting to get chilly here in Utah, but also in some of their Halloween costumes, as you can see some of the kids dressed up.
We do have a substitute from Hamilton Olave at halftime. Quintero, who was playing in the midfield, number 60, is going to be replaced by Sam Brown, a player we touched on in that opening 45 minutes. Sam Brown, a very, very effective player in the heart of the midfield. He's a workhorse. He'll give you everything he has. He has had some injury this season, so good to see him back out on the pitch this evening. And I do believe he's wearing the captain's armband, so that goes to show just how important he is for this Monarchs team. We're underway, Carla.
Right now, with Rio Grande Valley starting off with the kick, they're going to opt to go back to their back line. And you had mentioned Brown coming in as that substitute. Hamisan Olave, hopeful that that'll bring that little bit of extra juice and play into the midfield as well. Brown also bringing some of that leadership onto the field with the experience that he's had with this team. Rio Grande maintains the ball in their midfield. They're going to be looking to play and switch from side to side. It'll go out to Jai, a name that we have called frequently in this game. He's going to try to send a long one, but it skies over the goal. Nothing too dangerous there, but nevertheless, looking to play a bit more direct and to play forward. It'll be a goal kick for Dunsap.
Yeah, so Sam Brown, he's, sorry, Carla. Sam Brown slotted into that defensive midfield role. It looks like he's there by himself. Nadiga will kind of play alongside him, but Brown is certainly more of a defensive presence than Nadiga is. Poor touch there from Nadiga and gives the ball away.
And perhaps will allow them to build out of that defense, as it'll be a throw-in. Jai to take it deep in the Monarchs' half. Doesn't see anyone, so he's going to go back. Ball's bouncing around. Sorto and Jai trying to figure out who is where. Ball will go back. And it'll switch to this near side. Again, another transition from the Toros, who have had the majority of possession in this first minute as we are underway. For those that are just joining us, Rio Grande scored in the 16th minute of the game, put them up 1-0. And then in the 44th, Torres, off of a lucky, but nevertheless, good goal, was able to find the back of the net to equalize. Now find themselves 1-1. Asokad with the ball. He's going to play out to Manley. To Lopez. Lopez with the chip. He's going to try to find his forward line. Adams reads it well. Johnson is going to try to chip it over his player in the midfielder. Unable to do so. Monarchs regain possession. A push in the back against Neidiger.
Yeah, that's Lopez, the captain for RGV. He wasn't happy. Malik Johnson put up a stud, or studs, I should say, a few seconds prior to that challenge on Neidiger, and Lopez asked the referee in the middle of the thick of it all whether or not that should be allowed, but that fouls out of frustration, I think, Carla, more than anything, but a foul nonetheless.
Take another look at it there, and you could see there was no play on the ball. Neidiger not even in a dangerous position. His back is towards goal. Monarchs, they're going to try to find Johnson out wide. The one-touch ball. He's going to try to cross it in. No one there to receive it.
He did all the hard work, didn't he, Malik Johnson? And just a wayward cross. Haziel Orozco, he is all class. I'm telling you, that young man has a bright, bright future, number 99 for the Monarchs.
Well, seems very composed on the ball, and that's what you love to see from some of those young players, even with limited experience, to be able to have that sort of confidence on top of the ball. Monarchs now playing in their back end. Their defensive line playing relatively high.
Yep.
Adams going to play out wide.
Halsey's onside.
Halsey, who you're right, wonders if he's onside, but I saw no flag come up. He gives a little push to Derek, who falls to the ground.
And Derek's holding his face. I wasn't quite able. We'll get another look at it, see what happened. Just a poor touch from Halsey in the end. He was one-on-one with the keeper. Flag stayed down. He must have gotten a poke in the eye, certainly accidental.
Yeah, it was all the momentum that Halsey had moving forward, and you're right, on that replay, just timed his run perfectly, because for many of us, it looked as if it was offsides, but you'll see on the replay that he waits for the ball to be sent in. And in his momentum, you're right, seems to poke Derek in the eye.
I have to imagine, look, I don't wear glasses, Carla, do you?
I do not.
Okay, it does look like Tyler Derrick may have contacts in. And he is needing, we're all good. He's putting the gloves back on.
Seems to be doing well. But I would not be able to help him if I was Manly out on the pitch.
Nope.
Coming up to help his teammate out, I would not be able to put that contact back in.
Give him another poke in the eye and probably extend the match, prolong it even further.
Derek with the set piece. It'll be treated as a goal kick as he'll find Manly. To Asokar. They're going to try to play out of that back line to Lopez. Back to Asokar. Good touch. Gives himself some space. But a giveaway in the center of the pitch. Ends up giving the Monarchs the ball. And you're right, it seems like the first touch has kind of been the Achilles heel for both teams. That's really what's been getting away from both players, and perhaps it is that turf field that you had mentioned earlier.
I think it has to be. Any game you see on here, it's just so difficult to control the football. You really have to caress it into your teammate's shoe to have any success, much like what Brown did there to Adams, and Adam did it back to Brown. But anytime you start popping them around like that, you start to see the ball bounce, and it can become an issue.
Brown's going to play it out wide, and from there, the Monarchs on the attack, a 4v3 situation. And you had to see Johnson wide open on that far side and ends up getting away from the Monarchs. It goes out of bounds, but Johnson is on that near side, wide open, just begging for the ball.
Oh, Malik Johnson can't believe he didn't get that ball played through to him. And as soon as Leo Torres played it the other way, he started running as far as he could, in fact, from Malik Johnson. He was irate, and as he should be, he was in on goal.
The Monarchs with the throw, deep in Rio Grande's half. They're going to look to play around with it. A shot coming off. Derek is able to collect it. Had a little bit of juice on that, though. And he's going to play it out wide. Going to look for a Toros counter. Nothing too dangerous on that as Saucedo kicks it out of bounds. Asokad to receive it. Both defensive lines playing a little bit higher in this game. It's making the midfield crowded. Manly's going to step back. He's going to try to play it out wide, but it's still deep. The Toros half, they're going to look to change that.
Great touch from Nadiga to retrieve the football. Lovely work from Haziel Orozco. He can do no wrong, that young man, for all I care.
Well, he's definitely played well in controlling the midfield and finding his teammates. You're right, on this turf, it can sometimes be so difficult, but he's found them easy balls that they can get onto. A long ball to be sent. Johnson tries to find Mata up top. It's a little too far from him. Ultimately, Derek, the goalkeeper, gets in and is able to send it out wide to Jai. Now on the Toros back line. Trying to play to their midfield. A foul.
Oh, dear. Here
being
we go.
Called there. Now, the foul was against the Monarchs here.
Yes, Haziel Orozco fouled Soto, and then I don't think Orozco was all that happy with how Soto went down. Rather easily, but it was still probably a foul, and then I have to imagine, yep, okay, there you go. Soto receives yellow. He was flirting with a red, but our head referee decided to opt for a yellow card.
Well, that definitely happens because it was after the play, and that's the #1 thing that I feel like officials hate the most is when the play has ended and there's some sort of retaliation. Sorto receiving the yellow card. He's a player who scored in the 16th minute, but we'll take another look at it here.
I mean, and then there's that shove. So that the shove from Orozco right at the end really infuriated Sorto, it seems, and he has to be careful because if he makes worse contact, he could certainly be seen red.
Well, and there's still quite a bit of game left, so you're right. He's going to have to be careful because time is not on his side. Perhaps the Monarchs can use that to their advantage. See if they can't flare up his temper just a little bit more.
Well, there's been a bit of flair in this one, hasn't there? First half, there was a bit of a scuffle between Despay and Neidiger, and then we've had that little coming together with Orozco and Sorto. So there's some feeling in this one, certainly.
And you're starting to see that now. So Toros, it's been a few minutes since they've had any dangerous look, but Sorto now trying to get to the end line. Adams clears it out of the box. It's Monarch ball.
But again, very few options for Neidiger, who has the football. Lovely work there from the Monarchs in the end. They had nothing going.
He's going to try to find his forward line, but ends up going out of bounds. The ref will say that it comes off Rio Grande. It'll be deflected onto this near side to Johnson. Johnson going to try to find Brown up top, or excuse me, trying to find his forward up top with the cross, ends up unable to get it, and Derek collects it. But I'm starting to get the sense the Monarchs are finding themselves a bit more. Perhaps it is changing some of those players and personnel out there, or perhaps it's just some of the energy and momentum that has changed.
You have to wonder just how much Brett Halsey's got in the tank. They're playing him higher up the pitch in this second half. He played more central in the first half, number 27. He has been running, hammering ton all night long. Jamerson Olave not happy with Salcedo. Ends up just spraying the ball away. He wanted him to play Brett Halsey, and for whatever reason didn't decide to do so.
Well, and sometimes when you have players that are on and their touches are gold, sometimes you have to keep playing to that player. Halsey definitely seeming like that attacking player. As the Toros now on the other side, Adams able to step in front of receiver. He's going to pass it back. Dunsep to play it out long towards the center circle. Some poor touches means it ends up coming back to the Monarch sides, but they keep possession nonetheless. Neidiger.
Oh dear.
He's trying to find Salcedo.
It's been the Achilles heel for the Monarchs all season long, essentially. There's no real pressure on the ball for Neidiger there, and he just sprays it really wide and gifts the Toros field position. There's just really no need for it. Doesn't quite make a ton of sense. Nice touch from Halsey trying to play Johnson in, but the ball's going to go through to Derek. And it must frustrate you. Look, I'm balding, so I can't speak, but Jamerson Olave doesn't have any hair. I imagine he's not getting any anytime soon, because it must be so frustrating to watch your players that you love so dearly just kind of gift the ball back to their opposition. That's happened on far too many occasions, not just this game, but throughout the season.
Well, especially when there are open players. We had mentioned Johnson open earlier. He's been open for the last 5 or 6 minutes in this game on this near side. Monarchs on their back line to Salcedo. They will now find Johnson. Ball bounces around, but he's able to keep his body on top of it. Now, Torres in the midfield, crosses. He's approaching 18-yard box. He opts for a shot over the frame. Halsey asking him, give it to me on that far side.
Yeah, it's an interesting decision from Leo Torres. It's the second interesting decision of the half for the young man who came over from San Antonio. He had 2 runners. It was a 2v3 in the end. He opted to take a pop from some 25, 30-odd yards out, skied over Derek's goal. But it's the second decision he's made that you'd have to imagine isn't the correct decision. And as soon as he took that shot and his teammates realized that it was going over the crossbar, there was some pretty apparent frustration, which is never good.
And if you're a coach, you accept a far shot like that once or twice a game, but when it becomes a habit, you can imagine Coach Olave starting to be a little bit frustrated with those continual habits. It's a monster match. RSL will be hosting a trunk or treat event on October 30th at the University of Utah Health Plaza from 11:30 to 1:30 p.m. After you get your Halloween fix, enjoy RSL vs. San Jose with 2 tickets for $30. Visit rsl.com now for this spooktacular deal presented by Utah Children's Dental Network. Now, in their back line, the Monarchs played out wide to Saucedo, who's got quite a bit of real estate in front of him. He's going to play out wide to Johnson on this near side. Johnson approaching the box. Good defense coming there by Azócar. It'll go out of bounds. A throw in for the Monarchs. Monarchs back to Saucedo. Far up into the midfield stripe. Saucedo is one of those players typically likes to get up into the attack in that forward line. Hasn't been able to do so, in that he's been tracking back and playing more a defensive role for most of this game. He's going to come up. He's going to opt to throw long. He's going to try to find Mata. Mata brings it down with his back to goal. Out to Johnson. Johnson to the center of pitch to Torres. Torres with a bad touch on top of the 18, but nonetheless had space. Had he been able to bring that down, perhaps could have gotten a shot opportunity. Derek is able to collect with his arms, throws it out to Jai. And the pressure starts to subside from the Monarchs as the Toros playing it through their back line to Manley. Manley, you can tell, he's looking up, doesn't have very many options. Ends up finding his teammate in the center of the field. To Lopez. Lopez back to Manley. A long ball to Feldberg. Can Feldberg get on the end of it? He gets a touch. Dunsub having to come in. Ends up getting away from him, and Dunsub is able to collect it. But another spooky look there for the Monarchs, as that really just came out of transition in a long ball.
And a terrific ball in there. Feldberg, lovely touch too, for what it's worth. Dunsub did the right thing, coming off his line, takes out his teammate and has Yellow Roscoe. But the ball is secured. And the Monarchs survive. Yet another scare. Spooky, you added, Carla. It is spooky season after all.
Well, and you can see with those balls coming in like that, especially when your goalkeeper is forced to come out, you know it's a dangerous play. The Monarchs now playing out of their back line. They're going to try to play it long. Ultimately are unable to find their defenders, so Jai moving past the halfway line. He's going to keep the ball. He'll find Sorto. Sorto still in the midfield. They're going to look to switch the field, intercepted by the Monarchs. Can the Monarchs build out of the back? It's been, again, almost like a tennis match in that I feel like the ball is moving from one goalkeeper to the other consistently. Dunsub now with the ball. He'll play out wide. He's going to try to find Mata, who is able to connect with it, but there's no one there to help him. Those are difficult balls when you're a forward to really make something out of it. And the Toros now on their defensive line playing from side to side. Both teams trying to feel each other out as they gain possession in the midfield. Azócar going to be looking to play out wide to Dispay. To Jai. Up to Sorto. A little give and go. Feldberg. Feldberg gets inside of the box on the far side with a shot and rockets it into the back of the net. What a beautiful shot for Feldberg.
Wow-wee.
Made that one look so easy as he cut his player inside, entered the 18, and with his right foot, all laces into the upper 90.
Wow, that was sublime from Feldberg. Cuts in on Sam Brown and then just hits it with the inside of his foot into the top right bin. Nothing Jeff Dunsub could do about it. Sam Brown stretching. What a terrific strike that is. My word. Lovely touch. It was only moments ago we had another impressive touch, only for Dunsub to come off his line. That time pays dividends.
And just like that, in the 62nd minute, the Toros find themselves with the lead by Feldberg, your goal scorer, on the screen right now. He's been quite a dangerous player this entire match, and you had to wonder at what point is he going to have a look. And man, when he had it, he put it away. Since 1947, Select has been the leader in soccer ball quality and innovation. Select is the official ball supplier of the USL Championship and many of the elite leagues throughout Europe. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit www.selectsportamerica.com. Just like that, the Monarchs, who I think were feeling pretty good about how they were playing, getting some offensive looks, were tied 1-1, now have to take a few more chances. Now, that being said, they still have quite a bit of time.
Right. Yeah, it's about half an hour or so if you add in what should be a handful of minutes
Long
stoppage
ball
time.
to Mata. Mata enters the 18, has his back to goal. He'll pass it back out to Johnson, deep into the corner. Not a lot of space for the Monarchs, and so they'll continue to play around to Halsey. Halsey back to Salcedo. And the Toros did a good job of forcing the Monarchs to go back, kind of absorbing that well. Monarchs now in their defensive line have to recycle a lot of bodies on Rio Grande's half. Ball is going to switch to the near side to Johnson. Johnson, 1v2, goes back. He's going to get a cross on top of the 18-yard box. Try to find Torres. Can't get to, it's a little too short, and Jai is going to clear. Adams now on the center back line. He's going to play it out wide, and just like that, the Monarchs to recycle again. And you can feel that goal brought a bit of urgency, almost as if they lit a fire. Another cross coming in to Halsey. Almost gets to it. The Toros then now playing out of their back line. Lopez with the ball on this near side at the halfway line. He's going to try to find the goal scorer, Feldberg. Feldberg with a 1v1, and Neidiger has no choice but to give him the foul there. And it'll end up getting a yellow card for it right on top of the 18-yard box.
Well, rightfully so. Another terrific touch from Feldberg. He's been sublime for the RGV Toros as they prepare to make a substitution. Neidiger just pulled him down with his jersey, essentially. Said, "You are not going anywhere, my friend, regardless of how much I like you. No, no, not tonight." And yeah, it's a yellow card every day of the week, and some.
Well, and you can see he gave him no choice with a touch that good. When you get in behind your defender, Neidiger had really no choice but to take him out or to let him have the 1v1. Nonetheless, this is a dangerous look for Rio Grande as they'll have a substitute. First substitute of the night, Edwards.
It's going to come on for Flores.
Coming in for Flores, who I think had a pretty good night. He seemed pretty consistent. Perhaps they're hoping Edwards is going to be able to bring a bit more to the match. It appears that Feldberg will be the one to take this. It'll be with his left foot. Question being now, will he go to goal?
You've got Lopez as well standing nearby. But it's a dangerous distance, isn't it? Not too close to the box where you have to get it up and down quickly. It's a ways out. It's probably 25 to 28 yards out. You can hit this with speed, still get it over and up.
Lopez with the shot, and he finds the back of the net near post. What a beautiful set piece. And just like that, the Toros are up 3-1 here at Zions Bank Stadium.
Oh, that's another superb goal from the Toros.
Killer.
This time it's the captain, Lopez, who, as I was talking about, seconds prior to the free kick being taken, dangerous area. You know, you can hit this with some venom, still have it get up and down, and my word, did it ever. Look at the dip on that. Jeff Dusnip didn't even have time to dive, and he loves it. Flick of the fingers, wonderful strike, up and down into the top right bin. That top right-hand corner has been given some work in this second half. Terrific technique, wonderful, wonderful strike of the football from the captain, Lopez.
Quite a goal. Now finding themselves up 3-1. ESPN Plus is your home for the USL playoffs. Join our experts as they break down every matchup of the championship and League One playoffs. The playoff preview show Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on ESPN Plus. Now, I apologize for interrupting you there, Tom, because you're right. That goal was everything that they needed to really give themselves the go-ahead gap.
Never apologize, Carly. You're more than fine. You're in the driver's seat. I'm just here for the ride.
Well, your commentary has been excellent, and there's been quite a few things to talk about in this game. It's taken some weird twists and turns.
So earlier in the second half, poor giveaway there, potentially. No, they give it back. When Leo Torres had Malik Johnson on the left-hand side, I forget what minute it was, but it was early in the second half. I didn't say anything because I didn't quite know Mata gives away a foul on Manly. But you just feel like ever since then, the Monarchs haven't quite been themselves. They've always played tentatively. Leo Torres has barely seen the football. Malik Johnson's been down. You just feel like that one opportunity's really changed the game. Feldberg again.
You see it, Feldberg with the little nutmeg against Salcedo, and it just about works. Gives the Monarchs just enough time to be able to recover another back line, and it's recycled back. Asokad, he's now going to play it to the far side to Jai, who's streaking up the field. The Toros liking to get their defenders involved into the attack. It goes to Sorto, back to Jai. Ball's going to be played around their back line. And you can tell that Toro's looking to get another one.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no hesitancy in their play.
Without question, no, they smell blood, and they're going after the Monarchs at the minute. And they're deserving of it. We spoke at halftime who the more deserving team was. I thought the Toros were probably the better first half team. And then early in that second half, I thought the Monarchs were actually on top. And then, as I talked about, that pass from Torres that should have gone to Malik Johnson but didn't. Really, ever since then, it's been one-way traffic. Toros attacking again, this time through Sorto on the left-hand flank.
Sorto on the far side, gets to the end line, stops. He's going to pass it back out to Jai. Jai, small give and go. You see it behind the heel. Feldberg now on top of the box, tries to take on 1-2, gets stripped right at the last second. Nedberger, Torres gets the ball, gets pushed down from behind, and that'll be a call for the Monarchs.
I think Hamilton Alave has to go to his bench here shortly and bring on some life, some sort of energy. I think Leo Torres has to go. He's had an okay game. He's had a few shots from distance. But he's made a few poor errors. I think he has to be somebody that Hamilton Alave looks at replacing. It does seem like there are a pair of Monarch players on the bench getting ready to come in. We'll see who comes off.
Monarchs playing out wide to Johnson. Johnson, unexpected, receives at his feet, gets a shot towards the near post. It'll go out of bounds. You can tell there was some physical play going on between him and Asokad. Asokad now on the ground. The two exchanged a few words, as we'll get a better look of what happened, but creating some opportunities for himself. Johnson getting up into the field a bit more. You imagine that coach Hamilton Olave likes to see that. Typically, they play with those 5 in the back in the hopes that those defenders players will be able to come up and track some ground. Johnson's starting to do that a bit more. Take another look at it. What exactly happened here? Neidiger plays a beautiful ball. Johnson, I think he doesn't know if Asokad is going to get it.
It was interesting, wasn't it? Malik Johnson. Oh, we're missing some substitutions here. Malik Johnson touched it with his thigh.
Sees Vera coming in.
It was Njai that came off. Vera's going to replace him at that left fullback position.
And that's a big player. Jai's been getting into the attack this game. And so we'll see if the Toros are opting to play Vera as a more conservative defender or to continue looking for more goals. Good win in the air by Adams. Gets high, is able to keep it in the midfield. Toros to receive the ball as it's bouncing around again. Playing around in the midfield. Vera to get his first touches on the ball. And a giveaway to the Monarchs on top of the field. Some miscommunication, I think, between Mata and Hosley. Excuse me. As the two are trying to get the ball. Halsey, excuse me. As the two are trying to get the ball and ends up having a bit of miscommunication. Neidiger comes up high.
Well, that's been the story of this Monarch season, I hate to say it. They've got talented players, they've got speed, they've got physicality, they've got reasonably tall players. I mean, they've got all of the attributes to be a good team, but they just have never quite, or at least you felt like they've never been able to get on the same page with one another. And great example was that just a few minutes ago. I mean, it was Brett Halsey and Mata vying for the same football. It was 2v2 in a dangerous area, and Mata just essentially kicks the ball 10 yards in front of him to turn the ball over.
You're right, chemistry seeming to be lacking between this Monarchs team, even though you're right, we've seen quite a bit of talent come out there. Monarchs now with the ball. They will play on that back line. It's going to be switched to Salcedo. They're going to look to find Brown. Brown in the midfield. Some tight passes. Good gap ball to Adams. Adams playing it far out wide.
Bodie Davis, we haven't called his name a ton, have we?
Davis going to play a beautiful ball to Mata. Mata isn't able to get the first touch. Still inside the box. Still a Monarchs ball on the near side on top of the 18. Be looking to play out top to Torres. To Halsey, back to Torres with the volley. Is he able to get it? Nothing outside. But a good build as the team is trying to find some give and goes on top of the 18-yard box.
My word. And it's another heavy touch from Mata at the top of the area. What a wonderful ball it was from Bodie Davis in the end. He tucks it in behind the defense. Mata all alone. And a heavy touch let him down. It's the second heavy touch in a matter of minutes from Mata up top. A couple substitutes coming on for the Monarchs, Carla. A couple young fellas too. Leo Torres and Neidiger give away to Wellings and Suba.
Two young players coming in. Very different styles of soccer for these players, but perhaps Coach Olave thinking that they can come, bring the energy, perhaps be the hero in this game and see if they can get the ball. Suba now on top of your screen. And he's going to give chase. Manley inside of his box, going to play it out long. Goes to Saucedo. Out of bounds, it'll be Torres' ball. We shall also make mention of Jude Wellings on your screen. 15 years old. No, he does not look young. He is actually just young.
I was going to say, look, I was about to text our good friend Meg and just say, can you let me know how old young Wellings is? Because
he looks like he's in middle school, right? And that's because he is.
I have an 18-month-old, and he doesn't look a ton older than that. Congratulations to Wellings, his family, himself, obviously. But what an achievement that is, 15 years of age.
RSL, academy player. Playing here as RSL's looking to grow, and you'll see the foul that's coming there.
That was on Lopez, that's Brett Halsey. Receiving yellow for that. It was unintentional, there really wasn't much in it, but it was late. And often, late challenges result in warnings, so it did.
The yellow cards starting to accumulate for the Monarchs on their stat sheet. You can say Lopez starting to look a little gassed, and part of that may be because of the foul he just took. Asokar going to be looking to take this set piece. Nothing too dangerous, nonetheless. May be able to get a cross in to one of his forwards. The Monarchs holding their line on the 18-yard box. He's going to go back. Manley to play it back. And the Toros with some pressure. Suba, who just subbed in, giving some chase. From there, Feldberg receives the ball. Is he onside? They say yes. He's going to cross it to that far side. Some fancy footwork just about works for the Toros in the inside of the box. Ultimately, a good save coming there from Quintero. And the Toros again giving chase as you can feel the energy and the momentum growing inside of this game. They're going to look back, play it to Derek. Derek to Manley, to Asokad. Some fancy give and go work. But there's been some more pressure by the Monarch side, and so the Toros kind of have no choice but to play it back to see if something else opens up. They're going to look to try to play long. No one there. Dints up to clear it out long. He's going to try to find Mata. Brown trying to find Halsey. And just like that, another transition, a giveaway. Toros ball. They're starting to run deep into the half. Trying to find Sorta on that far side, who again just seems to be so wide open. So many times in this match, he ends up not getting to it. It goes over the end line for a Monarch ball. That was Kyle Edwards also on top for the Toros, trying to get to that ball. And Mata in the midfield, tries to find Johnson. On the near side, Johnson approaching the ball. Good defense from Asokad. He's gonna try to find Wellings inside, trying to get his first few touches into the game. A long ball with the intent to find Mata. Falls into the waiting hands of Derek. And you can feel the energy starting to go up as it oscillates in soccer games, as it always does, but right now it's high as the Monarchs feeling a bit of urgency with less than 15 minutes left in this game to try to make the comeback and close the gap. The 2002 Monarchs season tickets are now on sale. Get yours. Get them now. Call 844-REAL-TICKS. We have another sub coming out.
Oh, maybe the best player on the pitch. In fact, probably emphatically the best player on the pitch. Felberg is going to make way for Murphy, I believe, and it's going to be a double substitution. Lopez, the goal scorer, I think.
Yeah, both of your goal scorers that are coming off of the field. Lopez, part of that could be some injuries. He's been favoring that right leg just a bit.
Sanchez going to come on, play on this near touch line. Wellings, going back to Wellings, 15 years, 6 months, and 1 day to be exact. No records were broken this time round. The Monarchs have done a nice job. They've done a nice job of breaking many of those youngest records. 16th youngest in the USL. So well done to Jude Wellings.
Well, quite a successful career, even at a young age, to be able to play at this level. Toto's now on the far side, on the attack, trying to get to the end line. Monarchs have broken it down pretty quickly. Sorto now with the ball. He's going to go back. Back to Manley. And Monarchs doing a pretty good job of pushing the Toros back as Rio Grande holds the ball. Perhaps has had most of the possession in this game, but it's been a little bit closer in the second half than it was in the first 45. Derek's going to send it long. Trying to find Sorto, but two not really on the same page, and the ball will trickle out of bounds deep in the Monarchs' half.
That Lopez free kick just kind of killed this game, it feels. The energy has kind of gone. Toros, if anything, are probably the more likely team to score again. The Monarchs just look like they're not really feeling it anymore, if you will. They're ready to kind of pack up shop, get in the showers, and get home for some dinner. Although, as I say that...
As you say that, a commentator's cursing that Johnson finds himself on the near side. He gets to the end line. Can he get across? Good defense there. He's going to push it out of bounds. But nonetheless, I thought it would be a corner kick there, but the center official says, no, this is a goal kick. We'll take another look at this replay here. It's always so hard to tell from the broadcasting booth here. We see Johnson using his speed. He's trying to get to the end line in hopes to get across.
Oh, I think without question that's got to be called as a goal kick. Sorry, as a corner kick.
It comes off of Ahsoka, who uses his front forward foot to try to get to it.
Oh, well, such is life, I guess.
Well, and when you have one person determining calls, that can be quite difficult as the center official determines it's a goal kick. But you're right, that third goal was quite deflating for the Monarchs, and I think it was the time that it came to. This ball goes deep. Adams, I think, is hoping that Doonsup is going to get it. Doonsup retreats back to his goal, and so it awkwardly kind of goes over the touch line, and that'll be a corner kick for the Toros, probably a corner kick that was needlessly given up.
That was terrific from Yukaza in the end. He didn't give up chase. Adams and Doosnup were kind of were torn between a rock and a hard place. Doosnup came off. I guess Adams probably didn't hear him, but Yukaza just kept fighting till the very end and was able to win a goal kick.
Yukaza now going for the corner kick. It'll be an in-swinger. He's going to play it long. Way past the box, but waiting on the far side. Sorto on top of the 18. Going to play it back again as the Monarchs bring their line up. Now on the near side. Rio Grande coming up to the attack in the give and go. Playing inside of the box. Monarchs are able to absorb, but just enough. Just barely. Sanchez just about gets that ball. Now the Monarchs on the attack as it goes the other way for a counter, gets intercepted.
Oh, terrific interception there. Bodie Davis was off to the races. Wonderful interception there. That's the substitute, I believe, Vera, making that play. Well done.
And right now, Toto's playing out of the midfield. Some good touches. Back out wide to Sorto on the far side. A cross coming in. And a ball kind of bounces. Saucedo almost gets his head on it. It bounces awkwardly, and I think from there, Rio Grande is unable to get to it, but just some more dangerous looks from Mikasa. Toto's now inside of the box. Ball is bouncing, a volley. A shot comes off from Sorto, who is just lurking on top of the penalty spot. And the ball just seemed to come to him at the perfect time in the perfect place.
Ah, he's all over the shop, isn't he, Soto? He's been terrific, kind of bouncing up that left-hand side. He was probably the best player for the Toros in the first half. I reckon Feldberg got him in the end with his second half performance, but he's right there clipping at the heels. He's been terrific. Like I said, he kind of bounces centrally. He'll bounce out wide. You've got to keep an eye on him because you don't quite know where he's going to bounce. Lovely run there from Malik Johnson, although it was stopped emphatically.
Well, and what I've been most impressed by Sorto is just the fact that he always seems to be so open. And you have to give him credit for that because he's timing his runs. He now has the ball. He's going to play it up top. A cross comes in. Dunsup reads it. And he's had to stay alert this entire game, too, as he's been forced to come out and make some saves and collect the ball. Halsey now with the ball as they play in the midfield to Brown. And the Monarchs trying to find Mata at the halfway stripe. He gets taken out, a shove in the back. That'll be a Monarchs ball. Monarchs down 1-3. We're tied 1-1 at the half. And since then, Rio Grande has come back and gotten 2 beautiful goals. Absolutely highlight Rio goals. May find themselves on some USL highlights this week. Still some time for the Monarchs, but it is waning in the last 6 minutes. They're going to opt to try to go forward. No one there to receive it. Ball still bouncing near the top of the Toros' 18-yard box. Some good looks by Suba. Gets underneath his feet. Can he receive the ball back? The two tackle each other on top of the 18. It'll end up being a Toros ball. Some missed chances there.
Oh, without question. Yeah, a lot of heavy touches, ball getting stuck under the feet of Monarch players, Suba on that occasion, and now Malik Johnson getting a talking to by our head referee.
And it's been a chippy game.
Yeah, it has.
As we've seen from the very beginning.
A lot of emotion in this one. But the RGV Toros have been the better team, I think, without question. They've been superb, and the class and finishing ability that they put on display in the second half, certainly worthy of all 3 points. And they need it. They need it. They certainly need a lot more than the Monarchs do. Monarchs no longer able to qualify for the USL Championship playoffs. Great ball there from Soto to pick out Edwards.
Edwards now pulls out a couple of scissors on the top of the box. He tries to find a Sokad. Bounce out to Sorto. Takes it off the volley, goes out wide, but not a bad look, not too far from the frame. And you're right, you mentioned that this is an important win if they're able to clinch it in these next 5 minutes for Rio Grande to be able to get the points necessary. They have 41 points right now, 11, 11, and 8. They're currently in 6th place, just ahead of the Monarchs. But that being said, if they want to have a look at the playoff run, are going to have to clinch this one and win their next game as well. It's interesting, they have not run on the road since the Monarchs on August 4th. And so the last time they won on the road was also here at Zions Bank Stadium. Been kind of a strange turn of events. Last time they played the Monarchs, ended up winning 3-0, but that was at HEB Park earlier this month. And so these are teams that know each other well, and you can tell by the chippiness that they know each other well. A handball is going to be called against the Toros. That'll be against Murphy, who'd recently checked in. Monarchs look like they're going to do the quick set piece. No one's open for it. And so Salcedo.
He's got nothing on. There's no movement in front of him. That third goal really took the sting out of this contest. The Monarchs looked defeated. Lopez with a terrific curling ball from a free kick, some 28 yards out into the top right-hand corner. And it's a shame. It's the second year now where Zions Bank Stadium, that was once such a fortress for the Monarchs, is no longer so. An entire shift in strategy from the Real Salt Lake front office has allowed a lot of young players like Jeff Dusnup, Brett Halsey, Jude Wellings, who's out there at the minute, Suba. I mean, all these kids and all the kids that have played this season probably wouldn't be playing in 2019, but it's an entire shift in mentality from the Real Salt Lake front office to try and develop these kids, push them faster so that they can get to the first team level and have an impact at a younger age, and who knows, maybe one day play in Europe and earn this club a lot of money. That's the goal.
We'll see a yellow card coming here from James Murphy. And you're right, team having quite a bit of a hard time finding the chemistry. As you see the push there against Suba. Monarchs with the quick ball. Trying to find Mata. Suba tries to get a quick touch inside. Comes off of the defense for Rio Grande. Rio Grande with the ball. And they're going to be playing out of their midfield. Some good touches by Saucedo to Halsey. To Wellings. Hasn't gotten his foot on the ball too often, but he's able to pass a give and go to Halsey. Halsey tries to get a cross in to Suba. Manley heads it out, and now it's Toro's ball. Toro's playing a bit more conservatively now as they're approaching the last minutes of this game. Find themselves up 3-1, and so you don't see as much urgency as they're playing a little bit safer. A nice advantage to being up. Monarchs are going to try to get a cross into Mata, is unable to get it. It's one of those typical target strikers that you like to find him in the center of the field, but the Monarchs have had a hard time finding him at a dangerous look. Some of those high headers or those chest balls are difficult to bring down inside of the box.
This may be a rather historic night at Zions Bank Stadium, as although nothing official, Carla, but there's a pretty good chance, I have to imagine, that Real Monarchs will be playing in the MLS Next League as of next year. So this may well be, and again, nothing official, but this may well be the final USL game at Zions Bank Stadium. And if that is the case, what a run it has been. Headlined, of course, by that 2019 USL Championship. And I have no idea what Salcedo saw there, but he just simply passed the ball back to RGV Toros.
What a development that would be. I imagine that would add to a lot of the changes as well that this team needs to make and will make if that development ends up occurring next year.
4 minutes.
Monarchs now playing out of their back line. 4 minutes of stoppage time have been added to this match. We'll see in those 4 minutes if the Monarchs are able to move up. Stoppage time is brought to you by America First Credit Union. America First Credit Union has the financial products and services you need to take care of yourself, your family, and your business. Some dangerous looks there from the Monarchs in these last couple of minutes. They're playing a lot more direct, a lot more pressure, a lot more urgency, but you have to wonder, is it too late for that?
Oh, I think without question. The time has run its course here for Real Monarchs. RGV, player down. Looks like cramp. Can't get a number on it.
It looks like that's Murphy down on the ground. Coming out, and this is where you start to see some of that time management from players.
4 minutes seems like a lot of time, to be honest. I know 2 goals were scored, and so 4 minutes maybe seems reasonable, but Monarchs just seem like they're completely ready to be done.
Yeah, well, and there were quite a few fouls, but they didn't seem like fouls that stopped the play. The yellow cards were handed pretty quickly, play resumed pretty quickly.
I guess you did have that one scuffle between Soto and Orozco that took a minute or two, but Cabrera trying to get back in the action. He's been retired for quite some time, but he looks ready to get back into it all.
Almost brought it down. Head coach for Rio Grande. He's got to be feeling pretty good about himself, his team, with the majority of the possession and the attack in this game.
And they've been really good, have the Toros. You know, outside of maybe a 10-minute spell from the Monarchs early in that second half, I thought the Toros were the better team. They were the more dangerous. They were creating more chances. The one goal that the Monarchs did score came off the most luckiest of deflections.
Halsey trying to find Wellings on top of the moon. A cross. Looked as if Brown was going to go for the shot there. Excuse me, not a cross, a chip, as he tries to chip it in to that far side. Ultimately just goes over the touchline, and we've been saying this over and over in this game, but with that turf, it's just hard to connect balls like that. They're just far too direct, and they end up skipping over the end line. It'll now be a Toros goal kick. Going to play out wide. Derek to receive some pressure, but he'll clear it again to the halfway stripe. Adams to win it out of the air. He's going to try to find Wellings. Wellings again hasn't received too many balls at his feet. All of them have been in the air. Doesn't have size on his side.
I think for him, this is more obviously about the experience, the speed of the game, trying to understand as a 15-year-old he's going to play, I imagine, the next couple of years still with the academy.
Of course.
Unless they do go to that MLS Next competition. But either way, the speed of the game is obviously much faster at this level than what he's ever experienced, and it'll be pivotal for his development to try and make the most out of understanding just how fast it can be.
Satro on the far side is going to try to send it in. Wellings, said player we were just discussing, to receive the ball. He's going to pass it out wide to Halsey. Halsey's going to switch the field to Johnson. Johnson's got the ball a lot more in this second half than he did at first. Back to Wellings on top of the field. He's going to try to chip to find Mata. Ends up being too many white jerseys in there and a little too crowded for the Monarchs to get anything off of it. Toro's ball now at the halfway line. Going to be looking for some possession. Again, no rush now that they are up. Some good pressure by Wellings. Mata, one-on-one on top of the goal with the shot. Hits the woodwork. Bad luck for Mata as he really nails a great shot. And Derek, incredibly lucky that he didn't give that one up there. We'll take another look at what happened here.
Well, you can't ask for him much easier than that if you're Mata. His role on this team is to score goals. And sadly, he was unable to do so. Final whistle blows, Carla, and that's it. 3-1, RGV, take the chocolates.
Just like that. Has to be quite a disappointing loss, and it was the way that it came. It was the fact that those two goals, absolutely incredible, and one coming off of a set piece from a beautiful look and play coming in by Feldberg. 3-1 is your final score. Let's take a break right now. We'll come back, kind of discuss this game, what happened, and some more of our post-game thoughts.
When you're a member of America First Credit Union, the only house that matters to us is the one that you call home. And whether you're putting down new roots or making more room for your family to grow, we'll be there to help you nurture and care for the things you cherish most. Because the only home that matters to us is yours, truly.
I remember the first time Taylor brought me to Moab. It was life-changing. I think that switch from caring to loving to respecting is when it makes your heart feel like fire. Exploring with kids is a whole different experience, but the approach is really the same for all of us. It's about being mindful, being aware of what's going to help versus what's going to harm. That's what we really want to teach our kids.
Atlas Disposal is dedicated to preserving the spaces we share.
We also understand the importance of sustaining our resources.
We're proud to bring our operations to Utah with technologies like zero-emission vehicles and a new recycling system coming to Rio Tinto Stadium starting in 2020.
Together, we can keep Utah beautiful and sustainable for generations to come.
Rule the playground. Toyota, let's go places.
Zion is much more than just these cliffs. You're all a part of this. When I'm painting, my goal is ultimately to inspire people through that artwork to go out and find their own personal experience. I think that only when we personally connect with a place do we truly gain the power to protect it. And that's the whole point, is to protect this place, not just for us here today, but for future generations forever.
Tonight's match has been brought to you by Zions Bank. For banking that helps you tackle every financial challenge, Zions Bank is for you. By MarketStar. Explore something more at MarketStar. Visit marketstar.com for careers. And by University of Utah Health, the trusted healthcare provider for the RSL family and yours. Visit uofuhealth.org. With students back on campus, we're excited to relaunch our Soccer College Pass for the 2021 season. Join us at Real Salt Lake matches during the remaining 2021 season at a special rate. For only $35 per person, you can attend all of the home matches on the schedule. Students with an active.edu email address can purchase up to 2 passes per person. Visit rsl.com/tickets for more information now. Well, I gotta say, Tom, that was quite a match for Rio Grande. From the very beginning, they had a lot of the momentum, a lot of the pressure, and though the Monarchs had their moments, they just had a hard time really connecting and finding any sort of chemistry on the pitch.
Yeah, they did, and you look at the final numbers, really every meaningful statistic favors the Toros, and it was expected. I said it during the broadcast, but there was a 10-minute stretch right after halftime where you thought, oh, maybe the Monarchs are going to have something to do with this, but then it was quickly transitioned down the other end, and 2 terrific goals. I mean, my word, I think both goals in the end are going to be up for USL Goal of the Week. They were sublime. The way Felberg was able to cut inside of Brown and then tuck it into the top right-hand corner, then from the set piece, Lopez, the captain, hits it with the inside of his right foot, and I don't know if he could be more top corner than he was. So deserving 3 points for the Toros, and a lot of work left for Hamilton Alave, but that's it here at Zions Bank Stadium for this season, sadly.
Yeah, and with that said, with no playoff opportunities coming for the Monarchs, they'll have one last game. Now, it's a road game, you had mentioned. It'll be against New Mexico on Saturday the 30th. They only have one more game left, but what do you hope to see in that game that was different from today?
I just think you hope to see a lot of fight. And, you know, I liked what Neidiger brought throughout the course of the game when he was playing. He was very aggressive, and he showed that he wanted to be there, and he was constantly moving. And I think if you're Hamilton Alave, you're playing so many young kids, you know, you're probably not going into too many games thinking you're going to dominate the game, but you do want to just give a lot of effort, and the Monarchs can play spoiler to New Mexico, so there's something to play for. And New Mexico and the Monarchs do have quite a history with one another, so I anticipate that game being pretty fiery. So best of luck to them. They haven't had the season they would have hoped, I'm sure, but they've got talented players. It's just they're very young.
Lots of good soccer still to be left to be played in the USL, as many of the teams preparing for the playoff berth. As far as tonight goes, Real Monarchs finding themselves down 1-3 against Rio Grande Valley. We appreciate all of those that tuned in to tonight's broadcast. On behalf of Tom Hackett and the rest of our excellent broadcasting crew here, I'm Carla Swenson-Haslam, wishing you a good night from Zions Bank Stadium.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.